Well, hey there, Jen.
Hey, Jackie.
Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
It's been a long time since we've been
I'm
together.
so excited. I'm so excited to have you on mine. I'm on yours. It's all a big party.
So much fun. So excited. So excited. So everybody, welcome. This is mine and Jen's end of year recap. It's our Christmas special.
Yep.
Yes. So we're going to recap everything that went on this year in the housing market and real estate news. We're also going to have some trivia like we did last year. And the prizes are like last year. We're going to be giving away these lovely mugs. Feel like Vanna White.
Is that a good Vanna White?
Yes. Yes. So
minus the blonde hair.
Yes.
And you know what, Jackie, I get all situated here. I'm a hot mess. I feel like right now, heading into this live stream is indicative of the housing market of 2025. You know what, guys, behind the scenes, everything, you think everything's hunky dory. Well, I was literally had a last minute mic issue.
Yep.
And I came in hot.
It's okay.
I came in hot.
It's okay.
Woo,
but we're here. We're here, and I'm excited. So
we are here.
So this is
gonna be exciting.
This is going to be usual. It's we're going to be talking about like some top news stories. Again, the trivia. So here's the thing: if you're watching this on the replay, you can't participate in the trivia. Only if you're watching this live, you can participate in the trivia. So when you have your answer, we're going to ask the question. Put your answer up, and Jen, the producer behind the scenes, she is going to call out who the winner is. And if it's my question, okay, you get my prize, you get my mug. So I have a link in the description box. You go to that form to fill out your information, your address, so I know where to send it to. Then there's a link for Jen's questions and for her beautiful mug. So
correct.
I'll remind everybody as we go along. So I'm so excited. Okay, so let's start. We're going to start with the first trivia question. Okay, we got about 66 people.
You know what? Before we do that,
what?
Who we got popping in the chat?
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Before we jump in, we'll get to it. Right?
Yeah.
Say hi to some peoples because we got a lot of faithful. We got your faithful community. You got my faithful community.
Yes. Someday Defect. I'm so glad. Someday Defect. You're a loyal fan. I love that you're here. This is great. Who else we got? Miss H. Nice to see you. Happy holidays, Zayed. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but thank you for being here. I feel like I'm off camera a little bit. Why, hello. Thank you. Thank you. Who else we got? Oh, thanks for the super chat. Baby Philly Fox podcast.
Super chat.
I love that.
Yeah, I've got we've got Alex. Alex, I know you posted a couple questions before we even went live. Asking some questions about dual agency. Seems like dual agency at the top. Producer Jen, top of the list there, top of the hour. First comment. Seems like dual agency loophole is called designated agency. How would a broker deal with both agents in the same firm impartially? Not to mention problem for sellers who pays the commission. So designated agent is entirely different than dual agency. Designated agent has to do with the type of agency and how it operates. Dual agency is more consumer facing, if that makes sense. Designated agency just means if you have like 20 agents in an office, a designated agency office means you can, that one person, because the only one person represent you. If you're, representing, a client, and that client comes in, walks into the office, no one else is, representing you for your best interest. Dual agency basically means it's like it is kind of a loophole. I think it's a serious conflict of interest, in my own personal opinion, Jackie, where, it allows you to represent that client and represent another client at the same time. I think, Jackie, I don't know what your thoughts are. Dual agency should be banned, in my opinion. I don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it. I mean, it's legal here. A lot of agents here do it in Jersey. It's legal, and they do it. And listen, sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes the consumer does like it. They do like having the one agent handling everything. You know, some people are weird. I'm gonna say they're weird, but some people prefer that. I don't know. I mean, I understand. I understand the concern. I get it. Like, how can you be? And listen, and I know some shady 80% agents here in my market that take advantage of double dipping and doing dual agency. And I know the tactics. I know what they do to get the
Yeah.
deal done. Right? They'll reveal to their seller, like, oh, we have these offers, but this is my buyer. And
Yeah.
your offer's higher. Why? Because he told that buyer, his buyer, that you know what, these are the other offers. You need to come up to this number if you want the house. I know, and it happens a lot. So
I
that
wonder though, you said that some people want dual agency. I would say that maybe some people don't understand dual agency, and they think that going into a dual agency agreement, helps them somehow. I
yep.
don't think they understand what it actually means to go directly to a listing agent, and
No, they don't.
yeah,
And
they don't. And if they knew, they wouldn't want to do it.
but then again, in a competitive market like what I've been having for the past 5 freaking years, you know, some people will want to do that in order to get the house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They'll go to the listing agent and say, "What do I have to do to get it?" So,
It's
anyway,
a
so
it's a complicated situation because the fact is that in most situations, it doesn't help them an iota.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't help them at all.
It
Well,
doesn't help
hi,
them at all.
Karen B. Thanks for being here. Hi,
Mhm.
Angie. Merry Christmas. This is so much fun.
Merry Christmas. I can't believe Santa's
Cindy
coming.
Atwood, Merry Christmas. Michael
Yeah.
X, hello. I was one of your viewers. Um, I just saw, where's Boston Cheryl? Oh, hello from Cedar
Boston.
Hill. Boston Cheryl. Hello, Cheryl. What's
Love
going
it,
on?
Cheryl.
We love you too, Cheryl. All right. So, Jen, you want to get into the trivia? Come on.
Uh, you twisted my arm, Jack.
We got about 104 people watching right now. So let's jump into it. Come on. Okay.
Fabulous. Yeah, so
Okay.
Jackie, you're gonna take the first trivia question.
Yes, this is my question. So whoever gets this answer correct, you're going to get my mug. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, you
yes,
ready?
you know
Here we
what? Because of my audio issues, I'm upset. You know why I'm so upset? Because I can't do any of my sound effects tonight. That's why I'm so
that's
upset,
forget
because
it.
I
I'm
couldn't
shutting it down. I'm shutting
all
it
my
down.
sound effects are
I'm shutting it
off
down.
the table. So, because I got a new computer since the last time you and I did a stream, and you use different software than I do, and so I want some sound effects.
I messed you up. Okay.
Van White sound effects.
Here is the first trivia question, my friends. Which housing headline showed up more often this year than Mariah Carey in December? Mortgage rates hit a new high. B, home prices are finally crashing. C, now is the best time to buy. D, experts say it depends. What's the housing headline that we saw the most this year?
Drum roll. This is where I would do a drum roll
Mark
sound effect.
B. Woo! Mark B. Mark B won. He got the correct answer. See, Mark, you got something for Christmas. Look at that. Look at that. He was asking me what
You could fill it with candy.
You
don't have to put coffee.
I might do that. Okay, so
candy.
Mark B is our first winner. Mark, don't forget, go down into my link where it says for my prize, fill out that form so I can get your mailing address, and I will happily send you this beautiful mug that you can enjoy. Okay, Jen.
Mortgages. Mortgages.
Talk about the
mortgages was like what's that called? The stepchild, or what? I don't remember the saying that I'm trying to think of. Something to do with stepchild. Anyways, everything was blamed on mortgages this year.
Yeah.
Mortgages were up, mortgages were down, mortgages are the source of the issue, all the things. I feel like every week there was something about mortgage rates.
Yeah.
And the fact is, and we were talking about this earlier offline, the mortgages and mortgage rates, haven't done a whole lot of anything. They say, oh, it's going to help affordability. Wrong. Oh, it's going to bring a drove of buyers. Wrong. It just hasn't moved a lot, despite the Fed cutting the Fed rate, several times. And it did come down, but it's at the same level it was this time last year.
I know. And they're predicting that they're not going to go down that much over the next year in 26. So everyone keeps thinking mortgage rates, and all the way from the government too, they're saying mortgage rates need to come down so people can afford a house. The mortgage rates do not impact the house, the affordability. It's the prices of the homes. It's the inventory. Inventory is like the number one factor of why we have the home prices, because there's not many houses to purchase. So people are overbidding, and it's driving the housing prices up. Now, I have always had this theory that I've been saying for the past several years, that if we get to interest rates into the 5% range, maybe it'll move people off the fence to sell their homes, to move on to something else. Maybe that'll free up some more inventory. But Jen, the more I'm watching this, and yeah, has inventory rose this year? Definitely. And even in my market, we're seeing the inventory come back up. I'm not convinced anymore that it's going to be enough to bring the prices back to it's never going to come back to 2019 or prior to that. But I'm concerned maybe it'll move the needle a little bit, like in the downward direction, not by much.
I don't think they're going below 6% next year. I don't think we're going to see that, number one. And I think that's primarily because of inflation. Inflation keeps going up. And if they start, if they lower the rate, they continually push that, the T-bills keep, treasury bonds keep pushing the rate down. All that's going to do is push inflation up. It's going to, it'll instill more, it'll be cheaper money. It'll cause people to spend more. Spending more creates more, of that inflationary impact. Right. It's typically the Fed doesn't work that way. And quite honestly, even if they do lower rates, it's going to have the exact opposite effect.
I know.
On the housing market.
It's going to make the pricing worse.
And the reality of it is I don't think it's going to make a darn bit of difference, Jackie, because of all the other economic factors that are going on in this country, with unemployment, with consumer confidence, a 0.25%, 0.5%, it's not going to make a darn bit of difference to affordability.
Definitely not. A bit of difference. I agree.
Not at all. So
we have a quick question here, John.
Yes.
How do you feel about shared ownership programs, a local realtor? I have not heard of shared ownership. Have you heard of this?
No. So, are you talking about like?
She says here a local realtor. She says a local realtor offers this program.
It might be a state program, because certain states, like, I know that, after the great financial crisis, after the market tanked, there were a lot of Massachusetts programs that were rolled out with 100% financing, 80-20 programs where people could get finance 100%. And not have to pay private mortgage insurance. So it might be one of those types of programs. Do you know what program also rolled out this year or tried to roll out, which would have been a huge flop? The 50-year mortgage.
Oh.
That 50-year mortgage, that was
a disaster.
Disaster. When so my oldest kid got her first newer car, right? She had the same car through college and high school, and it finally, 230,000 miles was time. So she's graduated, time for a new car. She paid half cash, but financed the rest. And when we were sitting down talking about interest rates, they try to talk us into like a 7 or 8 year note on a car loan.
Oh my God.
This is crazy, which we did not do. But that's what they're trying to do with the interest, with the mortgage rates. And that flopped. It never got off the ground. We knew it wasn't going to get off the ground, right? Because of the fact that, the amount of money that it would cost you, number one. Number two, if you really look at the numbers, it actually is going to cost you more per month on a 50 than it would a 30.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It was a wrong trajectory though. They're not, they're not, then, the interest rates, doing that, playing around with the mortgage rates is not gonna, that's not a solution to the
But then
affordability.
so still continuing on the subject of mortgages, we also saw that they were trying to propose portable mortgages, almost like the VA loans, the FHA loans, like assumable loans, right?
Canada does that.
What's that?
Canada does
Canada,
that.
that's
I
right,
believe
that's
Canada
right.
does
So
that.
they had mentioned
Yep.
that. Now that I think that it might work, but you gotta be careful because people are thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna take my mortgage with me, and I'm just gonna carry that balance." But if the house you're buying is more money and you gotta borrow more money, now that
Mhm.
you're gonna pay the interest rate on that additional loan, you're gonna have a blended rate, just like with an assumable mortgage, right? So
Yep. I mean, it could
it's
work.
it
It could
could.
work, because you have like a 75% of the lower rate, the 3% rate,
Yep,
and then the rest of it at the higher rate, you'd still save money,
yep,
but it's a complicated program that would have to be rolled out nationally, and I just don't think, you know what, the thing is, Jackie, to be perfectly honest, transparent, let's just call it the way it is.
yep.
In order for a real estate agent to propose this to a buyer and have that buyer be like, okay, that makes sense, I can do that, you got to have professional, astute agents. That is not in
Mhm.
supply, in high supply in this country.
Yeah,
The agents these days, they're not in tune enough to be able to explain it to a buyer, which is why assumable loans don't have any. They don't. It's a great opportunity on assumable loans, right? You
yes.
did a. We've both talked about that. I think we did a live stream together on a
Yeah,
or
and I
something like
had
that.
the rep from
Um,
Assume List on over the
you
summer. She
did,
was on my
you
stream
did,
and
and
talked about what they offer. I think it's a great program.
it's a great
Um,
program, but it doesn't have any legs because it's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit, it takes more work. And if
yeah.
it takes more work for the average real estate agent,
It's more work and and the deals usually
like,
take longer.
yep,
It's a longer process to close the deal because you have to the bank because of the approval process from the bank. But Jen, look at here. So she says here talking about the shared ownership program. There's a flexibility to buy out the other half later or sell your share and recoup equity. So I pulled it up really quick. I just want to share this with everybody because this is something new. Actually, maybe it would help if I pulled up a website that had this and share it.
maybe, baby,
Okay.
maybe, baby,
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hold on. I'm s
maybe, baby.
I'm so
What if I
happy
get
that my
you?
computer's working tonight and I'm not doing like an actual doing a okay.
Don't
All
even
right.
jinx it.
Okay. You said okay. So here it is. Shared equity home ownership. In many communities, rapidly increasing home prices threaten to undermine the affordability made possible by grants, loans, and inclusionary housing programs. Okay, shared equity home ownership programs are typically run by a state or local government or nonprofit housing organization to provide financing to help low and moderate income families purchase a home. In return, the family shares the value of any home price appreciation that may occur while living there with the program and by extension the community writ large. The program's share of the home's appreciation may be used in two ways. It can either be used to help another family buy the home of their choice, or it can stay with the respective home, reducing the cost for the next buyer. This is interesting. I had never heard of this. So I
We're
think
gonna
that's
have
really
to
cool.
keep an eye on this
I think
because
I'm glad this is brought up because guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna research this.
yes,
I gotta go
yes,
and look
yes,
this up because
yes.
it could be a good video topic. I don't know. All right.
Hey, will you research that and get back to me on it?
I will. I will do that and give you all the answers to that. So yeah, so Jen, with the mortgages this year, the rates, like I said, I don't think it's gonna use saying it's gonna hover around 6% next year. I mean, I do know somebody that got it wasn't my client, it was a client, it was somebody else. They got 5.99 rate. Just right there. Just recently. They
Yep.
secured that rate. I think that's where it's gonna be floating all next year. And honestly, I don't think it should come down like too low too fast.
Right.
Otherwise, we're gonna have that same problem like we were saying. Prices are just gonna go astronomical because people have this in their head that that low interest rate is gonna do the trick. It's gonna make the house affordable, and it's not. It's
Well,
it's it's not gonna do it.
you need houses to buy.
That's
in
the
order for it to
problem.
be
I know.
affordable.
That's true. Miss Sage asked a question, can people still get a 20-year mortgage? Yes, you can. You can do a
Yep, and a
15-year, you can do
15,
a 20-year. Yep,
15.
absolutely.
Yeah, the rates on well, today's rate on the 30 is about let's see, what is the today's rate? 6.24%
Mhm.
roughly. And your 15, it looks like you're at about 5.75.
Okay.
It's about a half a
Okay.
percent lower.
You're better off going
Yeah.
with the lower with the shorter loan.
Yep.
All
If
right,
you can
Karen.
do it, you know?
Yep. Karen Hooper here has a question. How many homes do buyers typically tour before choosing one? And when does it start to feel like too many for the
Oh,
agent? Yeah,
so
this is a
ca
good one.
can
What do
I
you
can I chime in on this one? So
Sure.
here, Karen, is the real deal. 2025, buyers start their home search online. It's actually a two-part question. There's how many homes you see, how many homes you see in person. The number of homes that are being seen in person are substantially less because technically their first showing is online, because we have virtual tours and we have high res photos and we've got 3D floor plans and we got aerial photos and drone footage and videos and all the things. You have virtual walkthroughs. That is technically your first showing. How many? You guess. It could be hundreds, right, Jackie, before you actually like pick up the phone. My buyers, typically when I'm working with a buyer, it's like, maybe 6 houses before they put an offer
Yeah,
in on
that's
something,
about average. Yeah,
because they're
I would
seeing these
say that.
houses online by themselves before they pick up. They're driving by, they're doing all their homework before they step foot in the door. So it's a two-pronged question, because it's not like it used to be,
So,
where you have to physically tour every single house you want to
but I
consider.
want to address when she asked when does it start to feel like too many for the agent? You know, if the buyer is like, look, in this market, it is going to take some time. I've had people that have looked for a year, close to a year, because they want specific towns, and where I am, these houses are few and far between. But if a buyer is like just willy-nilly looking at any house, and that's the agent's problem. That's the agent's fault. We're
Yep.
supposed to be honing in, like, what is it that you are looking for? Like, perfect example, I recently was working with a buyer, and she wanted to see, she wanted to look at this house, and I'm like, but this isn't what you've been looking for. I had to
Mhm.
go back and say, like, you sure? Because it's totally opposite of what we've been looking at. And why
Absolutely.
do we wanna go look at it? And because it gets to a point too, Jen, with the buyers feel like they're getting desperate, like, I feel like I need something, but then, and I say, like, then you're settling and you're gonna hate it and you're gonna be miserable. So hone in
It's
on
the
what
agent's
it is
job.
that you want, right? And
Yep.
unfortunately, that's where buyers are getting to right now, and this is why we have so much buyer regret, because they're getting desperate. So, I
Well,
don't know.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree with you more in the sense that there's more responsibility. Not that the buyer's not responsible, but the agent is hired for a reason. And if
Yes.
the agent, it's not about managing the buyer. That's not what we're talking about. It's not about like getting them to not see how. No, it's about the agent understanding at a deep level, taking the time to ask a ton of questions, ask more questions,
Yep.
to really get to the heart. That's what the professional's job is, to get to the heart, the core of what you really want and need. Want
Exactly.
and know the difference between the two, so that the agent can guide the buyer, so
Yep.
that you're saying, I had one I don't know, a year or so ago, and he was hot to try. He's I really like this house. I really like this house. I did some homework on it, and I said, you need to go drive by. And the reason I told him to go drive by is because the highway was right next door, literally.
Mhm.
And
I
I
do
knew
the
that,
same
and I
thing.
told him that. But and so
Yep.
once he did that, he's like, "No, I don't wanna go see it now." And
I
I
do the
said, "Good
same thing.
choice."
I'll go on to Google Maps and I do the aerial just to see, like you just said, like, I do that all the time. It's like, okay, why is it, especially if it's a house that's been sitting for a while,
Yep.
like, what's the problem? And I'll also see, like today, my client, she emailed me. She's like, I want to see this house. She goes, it says it's adjacent to a flood zone. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, Oh, it is like right on top of a flood. It's not in the flood zone, but it's like right next to it. And when I dug a little deeper, I'm like, yeah, we don't want to look at that because that's going to be now you're at moderate risk of the house flooding, even though on the seller's disclosure, the seller said they never took water on because now in New Jersey we have to fill out flood disclosures. And they said on the disclosure, like, we never took on water. Okay, look, all right, we're gonna trust them, but you don't know. And the thing is, if when a big storm comes along, like we have gotten over the past several years,
Yep.
you're that close to a flood zone, flood risk. Why would you? I told her, I said, even if the lender isn't requiring flood insurance, I would personally get it because you just don't know. It's too risky.
You don't know.
Boston
Jackie, we can go on to trivia. Let's move on to trivia question number 2.
Boss, I just want to say thank you to Boston Cheryl. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, we are on. This is Jen's question.
Hold on. Trivia question number 2.
This is
Jen,
a good
producer. Let's go.
This is a good one. There we go.
All right, which housing headline played the Grinch this year by stealing affordability from buyers nationwide? Was it A, property taxes, B, HOA fees, C, mortgage rates, or D, Starbucks holiday drink prices?
Who do we got?
I think it's D, Jackie. It's totally D. G. D. All right, who do we got? We've got
Aaron Hooper.
Aaron Hooper. And
All
congratulations.
Right.
Yes.
Congratulations. We got a winner. All right, Karen, make sure you fill out the link for Jen to give her your address.
Truthfully, in my live stream, I got to post the link, guys. I got it written right down. I'm going to do that as soon as the stream's done. I'll post that link for you. You could also send me an email.
Jen, I put your link up. I put the link up from last year.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Look at that. Aren't you so efficient? I'm so proud of you, Jackie. I'm so proud of you.
I'm getting very tech savvy. You should be proud of me. Anyway,
so it kind of ties into what we were just talking about with mortgage rates and how it's kind of like the blame game for everything, including the big problem this year, the thing that we saw in the headlines time after time, affordability. It was in housing market. It was in across national headlines. It's everybody's talking about how affordable egg prices and meat, and gas, and insurance, everything became less affordable.
Property taxes.
It was top of the headlines this year.
Yep. So really quick, last week, Jen, before I got, I turned into a podcast last Monday.
You did very well, by the way. I'm going to tell you.
I'm very proud of you for that. I try. Anyway, so this article, I just found this so disturbing. Priced out as 75% of the market, right? So people can't afford 75% of the market right now. Like, that's just ridiculous. So it says here, the typical household earns about $80,000 a year, far less than the $113,000 needed to afford a median price home of $435,000 as of July. I mean,
I saw an article. Oh my gosh, I should have grabbed it. It's from a week or so ago, week and a half ago or so, and it said in Massachusetts, you're literally if you're making less than $120,000 a year, you're considered like low income, which is astounding. Which is kind of scary. It's just crazy. It's absolutely bonkers on where the bar needs to be just to. So yes, Massachusetts is expensive, but the income is also higher. So it does even out. It's not apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
People here are not making tons of money and paying the same. No, they're paying higher prices, but the people are making more money. So, but it's still percentage wise. Everybody's still the same. The struggle is real for everyone.
Yep.
And it's just it's out of whack. And I wish I had a magic bullet and know how to fix it. Because
I know. Thank you for another super chat. Thank you so much, Ms. Obsidian Reloaded.
Obsidian. Thank you.
I feel like an educated buyer. That's our goal. Thank you so much. LAF Custom Designs. Lisa from Loveland, Colorado. Listed my house 10 days ago. Nada, no showings. My agent says it's the time of year, the holidays to market. I'm hoping things pick up after the first of the year. So yeah, typically, holidays do slow down. Now, it's not saying nobody's going to come out and look at your house, but because the serious buyers will still be out there.
Yes, they
Um,
will.
I so if you yeah, and listen, you gotta just trust what your agent's saying right now. It is a time of year. I have a house on the market right now. It's still sitting there, and I was just chatting with my agent today, and Jen, I said, "Look, I understand it's the time of year." She goes, "Yeah." She said, "But let it be, because where my place is, it's in a it's a vacation spot." So she said, a lot of people will be coming down over the holidays. She said, just, maybe people will come to see it, but she said the same thing. Come January, things will pick up again. So just sit tight. It'll happen. People will come around.
Sometimes a good thing, Jackie. Sometimes a good thing. I had a referral client reach out to me. I checked in with her actually and see how things are going. And she's like, no bites. And I've been at this for months and months and all the things. And, she heard the home she's in is like double what the average sale price is in her area.
Mhm.
And, mentally she's burned out. You know what I mean? She's just tired. And I'm like, and I messaged her. I said, you know what? Take a break for your own sanity, take a break, but also give the
Right.
market a break. You know what I mean? Let it
Yep.
reset and all the things. But then the most important thing is if you're going to take a break for the holidays, you absolutely positively need to start an approach in January, January, early February. You got to start not where you left off, but you got to do a full market analysis then. Because the
Mhm.
reason why it probably hasn't sold is the price is not quite where it needs to be. Sometimes it does
Yep.
take longer, but you don't want to start where you left off because then it'll be just rinse and repeat more of the same.
Yep.
But you got
Exactly.
to go back, you got to regroup and approach it as if it's a brand new listing from scratch, and look at
Yep.
comps that are recent, 30 days preferably, and then and see where you are and then get ahead of the market. Don't
Exactly.
just be where the market is, get ahead of it.
Good advice, my friend. So we have a question here. What's your definition of a starter home? Well, look, my definition is different from another person's definition. So I have helped first time buyers purchase their first starter home, which is priced at $1 million. I've helped people that bought their starter home that paid $300,000. So
Yep.
it all comes down to affordability. So a starter home
Mhm.
typically is, yeah, it's a house that's going to need some work, right? You're going to buy something that's going to need cosmetic work, maybe a gut job if you have the knack for that. If you or you have the funds to hire a contractor to bring the house up to your liking. But again, it comes down to your what you can afford. I mean, Jen, do you agree with that? I mean, because
Oh,
I've had a vast array of first time buyers and how much they've spent on their first
so
homes. So
the biggest thing you got to watch out for when you are in a situation where, either first time home buyer or not, move up buyer or move down buyer, um, you need to put blinders on and not look at the people around you because what'll happen is you start adjusting your needs, your goals to societal standards
mhm.
instead of doing what's right for you at the time. It really depends on what your situation is. I had a comment on I posted Jackie, a community announcement to make sure that my folks, they usually tune in on Tuesday nights. I'm on Monday night tonight, so we can have some fun here tonight.
Yep.
And one of my awesome viewers, asked about like, am I too old to take? I'm 60 years old. Am I too old to get a mortgage? And you may look
No.
around and compare yourself for what starter home look like what everybody else, and that's completely BS. You don't like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your neighbors are doing or what
Mhm.
the average age and all that nonsense. All that matters is what's good for you.
Yep.
I mean, I'm talking like, does it make sense for lifestyle? Is it in the finances? Does what you want, is it going to cost less or more than renting? Like maybe you want to travel. That's a lot of folks say, you know what, I don't want to own, I want to rent because I want the freedom to be able to pick
Yep.
up and go to another city and live there for a year and then pick up and move to another city. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. The thing that I don't want though, Jackie, and I know you would agree with this, is make your decision based on the idea that, okay, so I'm gonna get a 30-year mortgage and I'm 60 or 65. I'm not gonna pay this off. It doesn't get, it's all quality of life.
Yep.
It's all quality of life and it's finances. Does it make sense?
That's right.
You.
Okay, Jen's flagging us. Trivia question 3.
Okay, I know. Good Lord. Thank God for Jen, the producer,
I
because
know.
you and I mean, guys, I have gotten on the phone and right, Jackie, and either you call me or I'll call you and be like, hey, I got a quick call, and like literally an hour and a half
later. I know. It's crazy. Okay, so
this one's you, Jackie.
This is mine. Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to Zillow. Okay, Zillow's Christmas bonus is most likely to be a lifetime supply of candy canes, a court ruling in its favor, fewer lawsuits in 2026, a clearer antitrust policy.
Okay, just for clarification, guys.
The answer is
Zillow had 7 lawsuits this year.
Okay, so we have, oh, there she is.
Miss Obsidian.
Congratulations. The answer is C, fewer lawsuits. And let's talk about that, Jen.
It could be all 4.
It could be all 4. Like I know, but
lifetime supply. I'd like to see them get that lifetime supply and then get massive cavities because they deserve it.
Yeah,
they deserve
it. They do. They're jerks. They're jerks. Now, but don't forget, Miss Obsidian, go into the link for my link and then fill out that information. Thank you so much. Okay, so Jen, Zillow, what a hot flipping mess they've been this year.
Okay,
6 lawsuits.
I'm going to put it out there now. My prediction for next year, I think they might be on the way out. I really do. So Google, I featured this last week or the week before. I don't remember. Google is test driving.
Yes.
Okay. They're test driving, and Google, it's like go big or go home. Right. And so if Zillow goes away, there's going to be somebody sitting right in their place in a hot second.
Yep.
I don't know how financially they come out of this. I really don't. They have so many pending lawsuits because they've been doing this stuff and getting away with it for years. And now the rooster has come home to roost. And I don't see how they get out of this alive. I really don't, Jackie.
They're not. Okay. Stop. Okay. So I'm sorry. It was 7 lawsuits, Jen. So we have Compass versus Zillow, and that was filed in late June of this year regarding the listing access standards policy, which bans listings that are not available for display on Zillow within 1 business day of them being public and marketed.
Next one, CoStar is another massive real estate company that owns multiple real estate companies.
Yep. So then we got Herrera versus Zillow. Now this one is a Zillow employee. He said he was wrongfully terminated by Zillow in February 24. According to the complaint, Herrera was forced out of the company after he complained of discrimination. Isn't that looking good for you, Zillow?
Regulators
versus Zillow. Oh my gosh. Like when
it just goes on and on and on
and on and on. And RESPA claims, I mean, they violated RESPA. 2 suits involved Zillow's Flex and Premier Agent programs. So they were accused of steering their clients, the buyers, to use Zillow loans, right? And then the other one,
and not disclosing it.
Not disclosing it, right? And then the other one was regarding the Flex program, and I guess regarding the something with the commission or the referral, something like that.
The listings, like there was a lawsuit where people were clicking on the link. They thought they were clicking on the link for the listing agent, and what they were actually doing
Zillow Flex. Yep,
they were being directed to one of the Zillow, and those Flex agents. So everybody's watching. Those Flex agents, those agents pay big money to Zillow to be part of their preferred program. And all that preferred program means is if you click on it, instead of some random agent reaches out to you, it's not a top agent, guys.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with their ability to do their profession. All it has to do with is how much money they've paid Zillow.
Yeah, and
now you've got priority, and they didn't clearly disclose that to the consumer.
Nope. Clark, you see, hello, Clark. How are you, my friend? Zillow's fighting with the Chicago MLS too. That's right. I heard about that.
Everybody's line. I just don't see them coming out of this.
No, I don't think so. Well, Zillow could have paid off my student loans. They probably could have. It's, I agree with you, Jen. I don't know how they're going to survive. They are not a trustworthy source at all. When I talked about recently when they removed the flood and hazardous weather thing rating off of the listings,
Yep.
people were coming at me. They're like, oh, but, why would you support that? We want transparency. Transparency is key. I'm all for it. But you know what? You got to make sure you have the accurate information because
Yes.
they're not accurate. I had an agent. I found her on, she's here in my market. I actually did a deal with her several years ago. She did a TikTok video talking about how she had a house here in North Jersey and Zillow had it listed that it was in the flood zone when it was not. And their seller was so upset because they weren't getting any showings, or they would get showings, nobody make an offer because they were looking what Zillow said.
That's defamation almost.
Exactly. Forget about what, the agent is telling you. And hey, here are the FEMA maps to back it up. And here's all this information. No, Zillow said it. So no, they're right. I'm not going to make an offer. It's in a flood zone. Get the heck out of here.
I think, and not for nothing, there's way too much emphasis and weight given to that Zestimate without clear disclosure that number is kind of meaningless. It's kind of meaningless in the sense that they have never, it's not an appraisal. It's not a fair market value, which reflects what a buyer would pay in a given market. It has nothing to do. There's no correlation because the Zillow employees, no one has stepped foot inside your property.
No.
And without doing that, how can they possibly know what the demand is for your property and come up with a value? And the problem is that it's misleading the consumer.
Yes.
Because now when they find out that it's lower than the estimate, they think that they start questioning. And then if they find out that the estimate is higher, they start questioning. Or vice versa. You say, well, why am I overpricing or why am I underpricing? There's not, I think that it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. It's an estimate. But there's not enough clarification to say, don't hang your hat on this.
Mm-hmm.
You have a massively strong algorithm. It's just an algorithm. Would you trust ChatGPT to manage your finances? I don't think so.
No.
Why would you? Right? It's the same thing. It's a computer.
Yes.
It's a computer. And computers have their place, but not front and center.
Nope.
Period.
Jen, we got some other comments and questions here. Somebody's, sorry about that. So sorry, Karen. When a seller unlists a home and relisted a few months later, why does Zillow sometimes not show the first listing anymore? Well, you got to remember, this is coming off the MLS feed, right? It's called an IDX. So so when the listing agent puts that listing on the MLS, it's automatically fed to Zillow. So what happens after that? I'm not 100%. Sometimes it'll show the prior, like you'll see the history, like you can see the history of when the home is on the market.
But so I'm gonna chime in on this one.
Chime in.
So my area of expertise. So here's the thing. Every MLS in the country is their agreement, like what Jackie, what you just said, the IDX or the MLS sharing.
Yes.
Their agreement with MLS is different. So in Texas does not allow any of the aggregate websites to show what the house sold for.
Right.
That is an MLS issue in Texas.
Well,
every state's a little different.
Yeah.
And how they list properties under contract, pending, sold, the whole 9 yards. It's a little different. And so that's the thing that you've got to remember as far as what the individual states will allow.
Right.
And it's not the end all be all. It has to do with, what they're permitting, be made available. A lot of listings will go under contract and now they're listed off the market on Zillow.
So look at I'm sorry, MHOA. My Zestimate is always 100,000 too high. I have a realistic view of my dump. Oh my
I love it. I love MHA.
oh my god.
Hey, it's Monday. Have you done your grocery shopping? No, wait, that's Tuesday.
Yes. Yes. Boston Cheryl, lots of new builds in North Carolina. Which are better incentives for me as a buyer? Rate buy down, lower price, home upgrades, closing costs paid, all of the above. So if it was, you got to be careful. A couple of things. Now, the rate buy downs, you got to read the fine print.
Yep.
Because what I've seen is sometimes these are adjustable rate mortgages, and that they'll give you the rate buy down, but it's only good for a few years. So you got to be careful with that. Read the fine print. You could do that. If you can get a lower price out of all of these, if you can get a lower price, I would go for the lower price, because even with the closing costs paid, it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. They have already a cushion like set up of like when they say, oh, we'll give you 20,000 in closing costs. It's really not that really big of a deal. I talked about this, Cheryl. I think oh my God, I did a video about this a while ago about buying new construction homes and what you should look for. Do you think I would remember the title? But I have like 400 and some odd videos in my library. I can't remember. But anyway, so I talked about that you have to be careful. Anything related to the loan, to the lender that's tied to the builder, I'd be very, very careful with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
yep, I totally agree. I always tell people, tell folks, look at the APR, not the interest rate.
Correct.
You got to look at the APR, because the APR
Yep.
is going to take into consideration the closing costs. There might be some closing costs on the back end that are kind of not being factored in, which actually makes it causes you to actually pay more for the loan, even though the interest rate front facing is lower. So it really does. It also depends, Jackie, if you are if your budget is stretched and you don't have a lot of reserves, having your closing costs either incorporated into that mortgage or having them pay for that closing cost might be a difference. But I very much would prefer the closing cost to be rolled into the loan, right? And then do a buy down, because the rate buy down, that over the amortization over the life of the loan, that's the thing that you're going to be saving the most money on.
True.
Is the amortization. So the rate buy down it's a good way to go.
It is, but just read the fine print.
Well, read the fine print, because
so
it may be only
people
for a
get
year
on that.
For a 3-2-1 buy down where it's bought down and goes up gradually.
Yes.
Incrementally, or ideally a 30-year buy down is what you want. If you're doing a 30-year mortgage, you want to buy down for the life of the loan. That's the best case scenario.
Correct. Okay. Karen B says estimates drop as soon as you list your home, lower than his estimate.
Well, that's because the list price is probably the accurate price, and Zillow doesn't want to look like a fool, so they adjust their estimate to reflect what the actual list price. Because guess what? The market doesn't lie.
Yep. Yep.
That's all they're doing.
So, so Charlton says, do you think MLS AI in future will give utility electric estimate for yearly costs? No, and I hope not. Again, that's something else you cannot rely on.
Well, it's also
everybody's
information.
That's
sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to sound rude. I don't want to sound rude. We are in a world right now where everybody just wants information instantaneously. They want everything right there in front of them, and I get it. But like I said before about Zillow, doing the flood zone ratings and stuff like that. Got to dig deeper and do your homework. So if you want to know what the utility costs are, you can call the utility company yourself. You can maybe homeowner. I know, maybe you're right. You're right.
Because some states, Massachusetts, if you call the utility company is not going to give you anything. The homeowner is the only one that can call and say, hey, can you give me my 12-month average or give the 12-month average? The thing here is, and this is probably the most important thing, utility consumption varies. It varies. You have
depends on how much in your home. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 75 in the winter. And you've got some that are 65 in the winter. You've got some that work from home and the lights are on, computers and all the things. And some people that are never home. Like it family of 5, family of 1. It really, really varies based on consumption. I don't think it's reliable. I don't think it's reliable.
Nope. Oh, trivia question 4.
Let's do it.
We're getting
All
fed.
right.
Jen, it's you. You
All
are
right.
up,
Game
my
on.
friend.
Come on, Jen, the
Hold up.
producer.
Here we
Roll it
go.
up. Trivia number
Oh,
4.
here we go.
Let's go.
Come on.
After a year of nonstop housing crashes in the headlines, oh my God, if we had a nickel for every time I saw that, what did national home prices actually do? A, did they collapse like a Jenga tower at a toddler party? B, mostly shrugged and stayed flat. Shrugged? Yeah, shrugged. Quietly climbed to new heights while no one was looking. Ooh. And D, refused to follow logic, math, or YouTube thumbnail.
I love that.
Who do we get? Who we get? SMVB. You are correct.
You are the winner. Congratulations.
Yes, and according to S&P Core Logic, Case-Shiller prices rose 1.29% this year.
1.29%.
Believe it or not, with all, Jackie, you know what? I was thinking about this before the stream. I wanted to go back. I wish I had done this beforehand. I wanted to go back as many years as I could to see how long the housing crash is imminent. And I'm going to admit right here, we both are guilty of putting that stuff on our thumbnail.
Oh, I know.
When appropriate, because it is kind of sensational, to try to reach people, and all the things.
Yep.
But it's not an everyday occurrence. And I certainly don't endorse or ever thought, because the fact of the matter is it's the same thing you and I have been talking about for several years. The data doesn't support it. And that's, I don't know how clear, for every person that's convinced that, foreclosures are going to take the market, or this is going to take the market, and people overpaid and all the things. Well, guess what, guys? We're going to 2026, and the housing market still is not crashing. The housing market is not crashing in 2026. Nope. Jackie, the housing market is not going to crash. No, it is not. And that's not me as a real estate agent. That's just me, both of us watching the data and looking at that cause a market to crash. It just doesn't add up.
I see it. You and I both are out still selling houses, right? We talk to a lot of people that come to us, looking for agents. We talk to realtors around the country, and we're getting, we know, like, we're in it. We're in this day in and day out. Not happening. It is not happening.
And even, I talked to a new referral partner on Thursday, Friday last week, and she's down in Florida. Like, you think, oh God, it's horrendous. No. Is it going back to taking longer to sell? Yeah. Yes. 2019, the market wasn't crashing in 2019.
No,
it wasn't. It's just, it seems so much worse because during the pandemic, it was so unrealistically, artificially high.
Yep.
Okay. And because of that, now we're like, wait, this doesn't feel right. This is like a jolt. It's not a jolt. We're just going back to normal. And that's all that's happening now.
Yep. And that's okay. I remember we have a question here. I remember looking at homes on Redfin a few weeks ago, and the qualified for some type of construction loan. Can you explain this?
Interesting. I have not heard. A few weeks ago.
I'm not sure if you're.
Not sure what they're asking.
Maybe she's looking at a home that maybe could be like pre-foreclosure, and they'll only accept like the, what do you call it, the 203K, is that what it's called? Those
the 203 rehab loans.
Rehab loans. Maybe. Yep. I'm not really sure. I'm not sorry.
The 203K is a FHA product, and the rate is higher.
Yes.
On a 203K, it's a temporary loan is all it is. You use that money to finance some renovations with the idea of refinancing out of it once the renovations are done. But the one thing that did happen, housing market didn't crash, but Jackie, the one thing that did happen that was a number 4 headline that came up quite a bit, especially in the fall last year, this year, was contract cancellations.
Yes.
Contract cancellations hit, was it 15%? I got an article here from October. Redfin did some data. 15% of home buyers were ghosting sellers. And, and that's not putting the responsibility that, what is the, what's the word I'm looking for? Onus. Anyways, it's not pointing fingers at home buyers, because a lot of home sellers were just like, hey, listen, I've got a low rate. I can weather the storm. I'm just not going to accept your low offer. because the media is saying, "Oh, prices are tanking," and then the home buyers will make a low offer, thinking they can get a deal
Yep.
in a market where the sellers they're not being forced. They're not in a dire must sell situation, so they're like, "No, I'm not interested."
Right.
Go ahead and cancel. I'm
Right.
fine with that,
And
and
there's
because
and there's in some markets, Jen, there's more homes to choose from. So buyers are going to move on to something else. They may find a house better that's cheaper, and they're gonna be like, you know what,
maybe,
I don't want
or
your house. I'll move
they
on to
have
something
to
else.
adjust their expectations.
Right. I got a question here from Patty Daly. Hi, Patty. What's New Jersey's what's New Jersey future look like? I don't know. I wish
We got
we
Netflix coming, the
we
studio.
got Netflix
Years.
coming. So here, it's so funny. Little story. I was at a little like a holiday gathering last night at a friend's house. She had like all these women over from her neighborhood, and this one gal bought a shore house down the Jersey Shore. She was so excited. She's bought this house, right? But she's panicked because why? She feels she may have overpaid.
Mhm.
She had no clue about Netflix coming in to the Jersey Shore. She's like, well, "What do you mean Netflix?" I go, "Honey, they're building a studio there, like a $900 million studio." And she's like, "Well,
Hollywood of the
what is"
East.
she's like, "What does that mean?" I said, "It's gonna become the Hollywood of the East. It's gonna be getting we're gonna have 1,500 new jobs." Said I go, your value is going to go up. Jersey Shore is definitely gonna be going up in New Jersey in the next couple of years. Now, Netflix is set to open in 2028. So it's like
Yep.
another 2 years, but get ready. People and this lady was telling me, now she bought this 2-bedroom, 1-bath little bungalow on a beach block. She didn't say how much she paid, but I can guarantee I have an idea. She probably paid about $500,000 for it, between 5 and 600,000 for it. But it's that house is going to be worth a lot more. And she said she was up against other buyers. She had to go 50,000 over asking. So the Shore, I think, is going to still do very well. North Jersey, it's still going to be like bonkers because of New York City. We still have people looking to move here that want the accessibility to Manhattan. I think New Jersey, I actually just read in an article recently that New Jersey is going to be one of the hottest markets again in 26.
So, and here's the thing that a lot of folks don't know. So Plymouth, actually, where I'm at, okay, we had a studio. We were almost going to have a similar type studio
right.
in Plymouth. Plymouth is 103 square miles, a lot of open land, and they were going to do that. I mean, they were getting ready to break ground and all the things. It went by the wayside, Plymouth Rock Studios, because of investors. They had some illegal troubles. Let's just put it to you that way. But here's the thing: the reason why they came, the reason why Netflix is doing what they're doing, is because the East Coast is known for giving, especially Northeast, better tax breaks to these studios than the West Coast. That's why they come here in the first place.
Yep.
So the fact that people say, "Oh, we can't compete with Hollywood West," no. I think it's going to explode because of that reason.
Yep.
Because they're going to be able to come here, get their tax breaks. It's going to put a ton of people, quite honestly. My daughter, is a film production major, and she'll be graduating a year after they open. I'm like, this is where she'll likely land for her first job.
It's
is
exciting.
down in Jersey, and as opposed to having to go to LA. But it's going to be an LA version. I mean, your traffic in Jersey is already crazy, so it can't get much crazier. But the number of airports for easy in and easy out, like,
I know. It's very. I know. Think about that. Yep. All right. All right. Jen's yelling at us for number 5.
She's pushy. You gotta rein her in because she's I love her, but she's pushy.
We love
it's Jen. A Jersey thing, isn't it?
It is. It is a Jersey thing. Okay, so this is this is my question. So whoever gets this, you're gonna get my mug. So according to remove that. Wrong one. What am I looking at? Number 1.
Yeah, it's gonna be according to headlines this year. There we go.
Okay, according to headlines this year, who was blamed most for the housing market mess? Was it A, buyers, sellers, realtors, or D, everyone except the house itself?
Realtors.
So what's the answer?
What's the answer, guys? Everybody should know this.
Come on.
Everybody should
Who
know.
got it?
Come on
Who got it
now.
first? I think did MH get it? I think MH was the first one. Yes.
Yes!
Yoo-hoo!
Yes! Everyone was
Congratulations.
blamed. Everybody got thrown under the bus.
Everybody except the house. So MH, please go fill out that link so I can get your address and I'll be happily send you this mug. Thank you for participating. So yeah, so overall, Jen, I think this is the market. It just we
It was
blamed
so
everybody but the house. I mean,
everybody but the house and the last major headline, which we heard a lot of, was delistings, because there's just so much blame, so much frustration with home sellers, a big learning curve, a big adjustment to the property, to homes.
Yep.
Not because they can't afford to sell, because they choose not to sell. Because they're just like, they're mentally not there. I think 2026, they will see more and more sellers, get to the point where they get on the market and stay there until it sells. It's like the 5 stages of grief. I think a lot of sellers were in that denial period this year, and they just were houses off the market.
They were. I still know people that want to sell their home, but like, hey, I want to list it at this price. I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago. They wanted to sell their property. They bought it in 2023, and I'm like, unfortunately, the way the market is in this particular town, I said, you're probably going to be listing it at the price you paid for, because in this one town, it's starting to come down. So sellers have to really get real with their pricing. So Karen has a comment: in my area, many homes are selling about $50K less than they did in the fall, but homes with great lots or open space behind them still seem to sell at last year's prices. So again, it all comes down to location, right? If you're in a good location, the house is maintained well, right? It shows well, it's going to sell and sell quick. So that's been the rule even way before COVID happened. So as long as sellers are realistic about the price, listen to your realtors.
Well, make sure you get I would say back up and say, before you do that, make sure you have a good agent. Interview. I say we both, preach interview 3. If you don't have, find one that is proficient, that listens to you, that is following you, you're supporting your needs and goals. Interview another one and another one until you can find somebody that demonstrates the qualities of, what I refer to as the 20% agent, the 10% agent, the professional. Then you will get the guidance. And then, but here, I'll take it a step further, Jackie, and say that regardless of who your agent is, if your agent says you should lower the price, you need to ask why, and keep asking why until you understand. An agent telling you, well, the market's changed. Oh, the market's slow. Oh, it's seasonality, is not good enough. You've got to, insist that you see comps, insist that they show you the data to back up their recommendation for the price drop. And guys, if you're lowering the price, if your house hasn't sold, and this is going to happen, Jackie, if the price hasn't sold, the trap I see home sellers falling into time and time again is they're chasing the market. So if you're behind the market and you're making price adjustments because the house hasn't sold, all you're doing, if you don't adjust it enough to get ahead, if all of a sudden you do comps and you're like, oh, well, here, I'm here and the market's here, so now I have to adjust to here. Well, guess what? But you already missed the market.
Yep.
You've already missed it. You've got to not go from here to here. You need to go from here to here.
Right.
You've got to undercut the market to get ahead. That's going to be the key in 2026.
Yep.
That will be the key. And that does not mean, $50,000. That doesn't mean prices going down 30%. No. It just means that you've got to, really narrow that number down strategically, but go a little bit further. That's the only way you're going to stand out.
Exactly.
Year ahead.
Karen has a great question. How far in advance of listing should a seller hire a realtor? So in my experience, I know this is your specialty, but in my experience, depending on how fast I need to sell, but if somebody's looking to sell in the spring, I'd be getting on the phone with agents right now. If you're looking to list at home in, say, March, April, because the realtor is going to guide you on what you should be doing to prep the home with regards to decluttering, even possible staging. If they might like, I have a listing that's coming on in like between January and February, and I've been working with them. They did a pre-listing inspection. We went through all the steps, all the things that needed to be addressed. I've been popping over to the house and see how things were going, giving them recommendations. So that's what a good listing agent does, right, Jen? You take it away.
Absolutely. I would say that it depends on your timeline. It depends on what your expectations are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is if you have, so you've been in your house for 20 years, 25 years, and you truly don't know where to start, you do not do it. You do not, my recommendation is don't wait for 3 months prior. I mean, I have some folks that reach out for referrals, agent referrals across the country, and they're a year out, 6 months, a year out. Now, a good agent, this is super, super important. A good agent does not have the expectation of their job. They don't have a definition of their job being it starts on the date you sign the listing contract, and that's when the house goes on the market. A good agent is building a relationship. A good agent is going to guide you through the process. Pro bono. I've done a lot of pro bono work over the years. And what does that mean? I've had some clients that I've counseled for 2 years, because they're just not ready and they just don't know. Because the other thing is that you think you may want to list in the spring, but until you actually sit down with the agent and put together a timeline to see what is reasonable and what actually makes sense for your situation, it might be sooner, it might be later. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I tell folks, Jackie, I tell them just, as soon as you are starting to think about moving, especially if you're like selling and then buying and coordinating those two events, because that could go a lot of different ways. You could buy first, then sell. You could sell first, then buy. You could do them at the same time. There's some different ways. And what's best for you depends on your circumstances. So, interviewing an agent early on, a good agent, if you interview an agent and you tell, and that agent says, well, you're not looking to do anything for 6 months, 9 months, you call me when you're ready. Guess what, guys? That's what I call an 80% agent. Boom, done. Check. Mm-hmm. See ya. It doesn't, a good agent will not dictate, what it is. I typically, when I meet with a client, I will, my level of involvement is dictated by what the client needs.
Yep.
If they're like, hey, we just want to be, we just want a line of contact. We have some conversations. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to work on this stuff. I will give them as much room as they need, or be as proactive as they need me to be, not me, but what they need. Yeah. And that's, so I don't think it's a one size fits all question, Jackie. You know what I mean? It really is super personal.
Yep. So we have a question here. Do you have a video on how to interview an agent? So Jen has excellent content about that.
I got quite a few videos on that.
So if you go on Jen's channel, she has quite a few excellent videos about that.
Thank you, Jackie.
Who is it? Well, hey, I'm just telling you. So
does Jen, I forgot to ask this. Jen, do you know, she sees the questions on my end as well. I assume, right?
Yeah. Whatever's coming in.
Because we get some QQQs further up the stream here.
Yeah.
That are slipping us by.
Does. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on a minute.
You know what? If I had my sound effects, I have a little Jeopardy.
Oh, what? I'm realizing this. So we have here. One's a repeat marketing question. Okay, I see what Jen's saying. That's why she's not doing a okay, I understand why. Okay. A little spam there. Cackleberry has a comment. Hello, Cackleberry Cottage. We had an agent from Arizona that we were considering using come to visit us at our home here in California to get a feel for what we are like and what kind of house you might like. Wow. Okay, that's great.
Wow.
That's real. That really is. Oh my God, they're going all out. Okay.
Southern California, you're right. The border's right there. So
yep. People want to leave California bad for business.
Not everybody.
People want to leave Jersey too. Recently sold her house last month. It was under contract in less than 30 days and sold for above list. That's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing. I love that. Oh, I got my friends, my Gen X realtors in Charleston. Hello, Angel and Dan. Those are my buds down in South Carolina. They're phenomenal realtors. If you guys need an agent down in South Carolina, down in the Charleston area, they are fab. Jen, did we?
Jackie, I wanted to mention too, another thing that I'm gonna be keeping an eye on for 2026. Something that kind of just it came up very, kind of in the background. It hasn't really been talked about a lot, but there are some AI home buyer assistance. Open Door is testing it, but they're more for like making an offer with an AI bot, which honestly never going to go anywhere. But there is some software that's being developed that will help buyers. And I thought this is like the tip of the iceberg. I think this is brilliant. Help buyers figure out where they want to live. So in other words, I'm sure we've had this conversation. Somebody they want to move, and they want to move to a particular state, but they don't know where in the community. So they'll reach out to us and they'll give us like 5 counties, and it's like, you're going to be driving yourself crazy trying to. You can't. A good agent won't serve all those counties. So what this AI engine will do is you have a conversation like ChatGPT, and it'll give you, based on your needs, it'll give you information on any area that you want. It'll help you figure out and narrow down the different areas based on the questions that you ask, and they give community information and all the things. I'm like, this is potentially brilliant. Then you reach out and get an agent for getting real detailed. But just as in terms of like figuring out, you're like, I want to move to, Jersey, but I have no idea. Or even like Texas. Texas is huge.
I get that. They're like, I'm in Texas. Can you tell me where?
So, and it's not the buyer's fault. They just don't know. But if you could have a conversation before you start reaching out to multiple agents, because then you got to interview multiple agents, then it's a whole waste of time, because you're like, you know what? I don't want to live in Houston. Yeah. I don't want to live in Dallas. But if you could have a chat with an AI bot that gives you all that information up front and helps you narrow down, then you interview with the agent. Like, I think that could be brilliant. I think that could be a huge time saver and very revealing for home buyers. I think I'm going to be watching for that.
Oh, Jen, you could put his comment up. Yeah. Okay. I'm a veteran and use this deal and want others and military veterans know what's available for our community. This is the Open Door question. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. And thank you for your service. Really appreciate that. Okay. Sorry about that. Cause we when we get repeat comments, sometimes we get spam, and we want to make sure we're not, getting inundated. You're great free real estate content. Open Doors doing 7-day home test drive. Penalty free plus $4,000 credit for military. So 7-day home test drive. Oh, what does that mean?
So it's open. It's is
this the thing you were just talking about? Or wait a minute.
It's not really. It's more. It's cutting out the real estate agent is what it's doing. Is you're buying a house.
Oh no,
like through a bot, and they're trying to create a model that undercuts dealing with a person. And hey, listen, there's room for everyone, every type of platform in this business. And Jackie, you and I were talking about this the other day. It's I was actually talking with one of my referral partners about this morning, is that there's room for all these platforms. But the fact of the matter is you have your husband just passed away. Mm-hmm. You've lived in your house for 30 years. You're going to go on a bot and try to go through no, you need somebody to talk you off the ledge. You need somebody to calm your fears. You need somebody to help you give directions, give you clarity on what you're trying to go through and go through the process.
Yep.
Oh, things like that kind of a bot. It's not going to, it's not always about the money. So is it going to stick around? Maybe. I think it might be a fad, to be honest, but.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. He says here, you could live in the house for 7 days. Hold up. Sorry, Jen.
No, I'm curious.
You live in the house for 7 days. If you don't like it, you give it back penalty free.
I can see that imploding big. What do you think, Jackie? That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
A big time. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And in 7 days to live in a house, you're not gonna get a true feel just living in a house for a week.
Do you know how much damage somebody can do in 7 days?
I know.
I've seen it.
Like that's no. No, 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 no. No, listen,
This litigious society, I think there's a reason why when you turn the keys over on a real estate transaction, there's no lemon law. There's no returns.
no.
That's it, done deal. No
There's
return policy.
just
Final.
yeah.
That's why you
No.
gotta be careful.
No, 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 no. Yeah, that's not good. I don't like that. I
Nope.
wouldn't recommend anybody do it. You know what's funny? I was talking to at this event I was at last night, this little house holiday party. I was talking with another agent. She lives right here in my town, and she was telling me recently she had a listing and the buyers wanted to come in before closing to replace the floors and put
Mhm.
in a mini split AC unit before closing. And she
I've
goes,
had that.
she goes,
It's a big no, but
it's a big no,
I've
but
had
it's
plenty of buyers ask that.
I
Yep.
know, but she goes, I said, "Did you what did the agent say? Did you ask the agent where she got a license from? Because that's like the way it's like something
Well,
you
here's
learn
the
in real
problem.
estate school. Like, what the
Here's
heck?"
what's happening, Jackie, with situations like that. An agent that is representing a buyer
Yeah.
is now confused with a facilitator. A facilitator is really what these 80% agents are. A
Yeah.
facilitator, all they do is say, I got the text, I copy and paste the text to the buyer,
Yep.
and vice versa.
That's
There's
exactly it.
no guidance, interpretation, investigation, instead of talking to the buyer and say, listen, this is not it's not a good idea for you. You're investing money in a house you don't own. The seller could pull the plug the day before closing,
I know.
not get away with it, scot free. But how much money are you gonna go spend chasing after that seller if
Right.
they back out on the 11th hour?
Yep.
Seriously, how much? Most buyers, as much as it hurts, doesn't happen very often, but it could happen. What if there's a fire and the house burns to the ground?
I know.
Could happen.
Like,
Guess
anything
what?
can happen. That's what you
That
don't
stuff's not gonna be covered,
people
right? The seller didn't put it in.
Yeah.
It's too risky for the buyer, and a facilitator agent is not gonna sit down with the buyer and be like, "Listen, I know you're anxious, but listen, if you just wait like 2 weeks and it'll be yours, you do whatever the heck you wanna do."
I know.
Just it's the whole, like, "I want it now.
You wanna
I
know the
want it now.
instantaneous,
I
like,
want it now.
yeah,
I
I
don't wanna
want this
wait."
house ready when I move in, when I
Yep.
close, like, no.
No. Patience, young
Yes.
Padawan. Come on.
Yes. All right. You are so welcome. And again, thank you for your service and Merry Christmas to you as well. So,
Merry
Jen,
Christmas.
I think we're
Happy
good.
Hanukkah. Happy
Like we got
Kwanzaa.
it was a good show. It was so good to have you back on.
I know. We get anybody other I know we're I usually keep on I just want to check and see if we got any more questions. I don't want to
Yeah,
leave
I don't
anybody
think we
out.
do. I think we're I think we got everybody. I'm scrolling through.
Da-na-na-na. I really appreciate everybody that has logged on tonight and honestly has logged in throughout 2025. I
Yes.
really,
Yes.
really, really appreciate. I
Yeah,
love my
thank you so much. Oh, we're
community.
watching, but Karen, thank you so much for watching us. We really,
Yes.
really appreciate it. Merry Christmas. And Jen and I hope to deliver even more value next year. Because look, you never know with this housing market. That's why she and I are here. We're researching this stuff daily to find out what is going on when we're trying to come up with ideas for what content we're going to put out for that week and then what we're going to talk about on the live streams. It's a lot of work. We put a lot of work into this, but we love what we do. And
Well, I think it goes further than that, Jackie. To be perfectly honest, like you and I both have this, like, truly, I mean, because it's a lot of work, yes, but you and I both have like the desire to like shed light on nonsense. Like I
yes,
have like no patience for nonsense. I'm so sick and tired of people defending the real estate industry for no reason, just because you're a real estate agent,
yep,
and treating consumers like they're idiots, and the consumers don't know what to believe. I mean, being a home buyer, home seller in this environment is extremely confusing because you're getting different. I and we both are so committed to drilling down, do our best to help advocate for you guys. I mean,
yes,
you're not hiring us for agents. We have no skin in the game in this in doing this. It's merely out of a desire to truly help folks. And
absolutely.
I got Jackie, you and I will take next week off to
Yes,
spend time with family. And
Yes,
then
we will be back. I'll be back on Monday, January 5th. Jen, you'll be back on that Tuesday.
January 6th, hopefully, God willing, broadcasting from my new studio.
I can't wait.
That's what I'm working on next week, putting the
I'm
finishing
gonna-
touches. I'm super excited.
Get that thing done.
I'm working on it. Boy,
Right.
you're pushing.
It's going to look so
Jersey pushy.
awesome. Jen, that question somebody said about moving back from Minnesota to New Jersey. Do me a favor, Tony. It's Tony. I just want to answer him really quick. Moving back from Minnesota to New Jersey. Any advice?
What
You
type
got
of
to
advice
do your
are you looking for?
research. Got to do your research. If you want to, Tony, you can click on one of the links on one of my other videos, like to ask me a question, or if you want to email me, let
Or
me
likewise.
reach out to me and let me know where you're thinking of going. If you're going to be up in my neck of the woods, we can have a conversation about that. If it's somewhere else in Jersey, I can get you connected with somebody in the other parts of the state. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So Jen, thank you so much.
Jackie, thank you.
No,
I love, I'm glad to have you on mine, and I'm happy to be on yours, and
a lot of fun.
It's always fun. I know we talk offline like every other day, and all the things, and have seen a lot of stuff. And I think we had talked about doing this like instead of every once a year, do it every 6 months.
Every 6 months we'll do a check-in. Absolutely.
Check-in and stuff like that. But
love it.
Have a Merry Christmas, Jackie.
You have a Merry Christmas too, my friend. And everybody watching, have a very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Look, more to come in 26, and we're here
to come. And
we're here to deliver.
I will sign off with my usual sign off. Before, when you're visiting, especially right now, given the social environment, political environment, visiting family, things can get maybe a little tense. I close every live stream with the same thing. Before you judge, seek to understand. Before you judge, seek to understand. You may not agree with someone. You may be a polar opposite, but it doesn't do anybody any good to do this. Ask questions.
Yep.
You don't have to agree with them. Just ask questions. Try to have a little bit more empathy, and try to understand where they're coming from. A lot of things can be solved, Jackie, by just applying that. Be curious, not judgmental, as the one of my favorite characters of all time, Ted Lasso, has.
Yes.
Be curious, not judgmental.
All right. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Right. And thank you guys for joining us.
Everybody, have a great
Appreciate you all.
See you next year.
See you next year. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.